Libra. This person can't stand being near you. Be careful. You thought the problem was you. You thought that if you adjusted a little more, explained yourself a little better, let it show a little less, that the tension with this person would simply pass with time, that with enough patience they would understand. It didn't go through. He didn't understand. And there's a reason for that no one has clearly told you. It's not about what you did. It's not about what you failed to do. It's about who you are, and about the fact that there's a specific type of person who can't stand being around someone who truly sees them, unfiltered, without permission. Libra has this ability to perceive what hasn't been said, to feel what's hidden behind the facade, to exist with a clarity that doesn't need confrontation to be felt. And for a specific type of person, a type that will appear in this video with a pattern, with logic, with the exact steps of how it establishes itself, this clarity is unbearable. What you'll see here isn't a generic list of difficult people. It's a map of the exact pattern that person uses, of the way they act when they realize they can't control you, of the moment the narrative shifts and suddenly you become complicated, the difficult one, the one who changed, when all you did was stop diminishing yourself to fit in. And there's something at the end of this map that will change how you read every relationship in your life from now on. Because when you understand what this person's discomfort really says, not about you, but about them, the care the title calls for ceases to be fear, and it becomes something much more powerful than that. Stay. This is for you. Think about it. Have you ever entered a room and felt that tension without origin? That coldness that has no visible explanation, that distance that makes no rational sense when you try to reconstruct the events. Libra's natural reaction is to try to find out what caused it, to try to fix it, to try to regain what was lost. But what if the tension wasn't caused by you? What if it existed precisely because of who you are, not what you did? Libra carries an antenna. It's not clairvoyance. It's not some mystical skill you chose to develop through effort. It's an almost involuntary ability to perceive contradictions between what someone says and what they feel, between the carefully constructed facade someone displays and the real confusion hidden behind it. This antenna works even when you're not consciously paying attention, especially when you're not. What this person feels isn't ordinary antipathy. It's not outright envy. It's a kind of silent unease that they can't name. And that's why they can never resolve it internally. You can try to be kinder, more approachable. You can soften your stance, choose your words more carefully, but the unease doesn't go away, because it didn't come from anything you did. It came from something you are. And there are people who feel this, who feel that near you, something within them is inevitably exposed, that the natural balance you carry, that balanced presence you don't always realize you have, acts like a mirror they didn't ask to see, and that they don't know how to turn off without distancing themselves. That's where the discomfort comes from. Not from a fight, not from a mistake on your part, from a reflex that they were not prepared to find it. This question remains unanswered for a reason, because recognizing that this mirror exists is only the beginning. The part that no one explains, and that makes all the difference, is what to do with it. What to do when you understand that the tension you feel comes from within the other person, not from a fault of your own. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book. The divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose isn't a guide on how to defend yourself from difficult people. It's something more precise than that. It's a work on how Libra learns to recognize, before suffering, what their own energy reveals about those around them. Because a Libra who truly knows themselves doesn't need to wait for someone to show them their truth. They already sense it beforehand. They can distinguish who feels discomfort around them because they admire them without understanding, and who feels discomfort because they have something to hide. You are in that moment right now, still processing, with the active recognition, that unsettling certainty that there is a person, a pattern, a situation that fits what is being said. And the hardest part is not realizing it. It's knowing what to do with it before the cycle begins again. The link is in the first pinned comment, but be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. Write in the comments, is there someone in your life whose presence leaves you exhausted for no concrete reason you can name? You don't need to say their name, just acknowledging it out loud is already a positive step. Now that this question has been raised, it's time to delve deeper, because there is a profile, and this profile follows such a clear pattern that when you learn to recognize it, you'll realize you've encountered it more than once in your life, in completely different contexts, with different faces, with different stories, but with the same inner workings, functioning in the same way, producing the same kind of wear and tear on you. The first thing that needs to be clear is that this person rarely seems difficult at first glance. In fact, it's almost the opposite. They tend to be articulate, engaging, with a very well-constructed narrative about who they are and why they act the way they do. They know how to present themselves. They know how to create a first impression that genuinely charms. And Libra, who loves deep connection and thrives on encounters that feel real, falls for this first impression easily and with honest openness. For a while, everything seems to work. The conversation flows naturally. The energy is palpable. There's a sense of recognition, of harmony, of that rare feeling of finding someone who thinks outside the box. Libra relaxes. Libra opens up. Libra invests, because that's how Libra relates, with real investment, with real presence, with care that isn't merely performative. And it is precisely in this investment that the dynamics begin to show what they always were. Because this person is unable to maintain a sustainable relationship with those who see them. They can deal with those who admire them without questioning. They can deal with those who disagree, as long as the disagreement is in a way that they can manage, predict, and control. But someone like Libra, who listens with genuine attention, who notices inconsistencies without needing to verbalize them, who senses the subtext before processing the text. This person doesn't know what to do. Because Libra doesn't confront, doesn't accuse, doesn't throw what it has perceived in your face. Libra simply exists with this active and silent perception. And this, for those who have built their entire lives on carefully maintained images, is unbearable in a way they themselves can't quite explain. It's like being in a room with a mirror that you can't turn towards the wall, and that insists on showing you something you've decided not to see. Then the testing phase begins, subtle, almost imperceptible, especially for Libra, who wants to believe in the best of everyone. This person will start to subtly push the boundaries, not explicitly, but as an experiment, a comment that carries weight, but that you can't take seriously. A situation where you find yourself giving in without having consciously made that decision. A conversation that ends with you feeling responsible for something that clearly didn't start with you. And every time Libra yields, because Libra yields on principle out of a genuine belief in the possibility of harmony, that person reads it as a map, as confirmation of where to continue moving forward. This pattern has an internal logic, and it's possible to learn to recognize it before it fully takes hold, not with distrust, but with clarity. The divine path that guides your zodiac, signed to a life of purpose, addresses exactly this point: how Libra can develop the ability to distinguish from the beginning who is present out of genuine admiration and who is present because they need a space they can occupy without resistance. This distinction changes everything, not the way you welcome, but the awareness with which you position yourself while welcoming. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. There's a cruel detail in this dynamic that Libra rarely manages to see from the inside, and it needs to be named carefully, because it's not about blame, but about understanding. Libra doesn't yield out of weakness. Libra yields out of principle, out of an almost philosophical belief that people deserve to be understood before being judged. That conflict avoided is harmony preserved. That there is always a second side that deserves to be heard, and that the role of the one who sees is precisely not to use that vision as a weapon. These are not mistakes. They are real values, built with care and experience, that say something beautiful about who you are. The problem is that in this specific dynamic, these values function like a door that remains unlocked for those who know where it is. When Libra offers a second chance, that person interprets it as a new opportunity. When Libra chooses silence instead of confrontation, they interpret it as a victory achieved. When Libra tries to understand their perspective before defending their own, they interpret it as an opening to move forward one more step, and another, and more. And the most disturbing thing of all is that this person often doesn't do it in a completely conscious and calculated way. They don't wake up in the morning with a ready-made script. What they do, automatically, instinctively, almost reflexively, is identify where the space is and fill it. Libra, with its genuinely generous nature, always leaves space. It's a self-sustaining cycle. Libra tries to harmonize. It occupies the space that the attempt at harmony opens up. Libra tries again. It advances a little further, until at some point Libra looks around and realizes that it exists within a space that has been progressively shrinking, not through declared imposition, but through constant and silent erosion. And then comes the exhaustion. Not a dramatic exhaustion, not a collapse with a set date. A silent exhaustion, the kind that doesn't have a specific episode to point to, but that's in the body, in the shoulders, in the shorter breaths, in the dwindling will. The exhaustion of someone who kept trying to build a bridge with someone who was breaking the bridge while you were still laying the planks. When you realize that your generosity has been interpreted as unlimited availability, something changes inside. This is one of the central points that the divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose develops with the depth the subject deserves. The difference between real harmony and harmony that sustains itself through its own erasure. Libra was made for balance, but true balance doesn't require one side of the scale to be completely empty for the other to rise. This book exists to help you find the exact point where your peace begins and where the effort to please ends. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. But what happens when Libra stops? When out of exhaustion, instinct, that moment of clarity that arrives unannounced and cannot be returned, Libra simply stops yielding. It doesn't confront. It doesn't make a speech. It doesn't declare anything. It just stops bending. It remains present, remains who it is, but without the constant adjustment, without the automatic softening, without the effort of not taking up too much space. This person reacts, and the reaction, that's the part that reveals everything that was carefully hidden during the time the dynamic operated in silence. First comes the strategic distancing. The message that used to arrive quickly now takes longer without a convincing explanation. The meeting is cancelled with a vague excuse that doesn't quite fit. A calculated coldness so that you feel the weight of the absence and revert to your previous mode, the mode of bending down to win them back. If distancing yourself doesn't work, something sharper comes along. Comments that seem like innocent observations but carry real weight. jokes that hurt but exist within a context where complaining makes you seem exaggerated, situations where you find yourself explaining something about yourself that you never needed to explain before, and even with all the explanation, still being misunderstood. And finally, if none of that works, comes the most sophisticated strategy: repositioning the narrative. Suddenly, in the version that person tells, to the world or just to themselves, you are the difficult one, the one who changed for no reason, the one who shut down, the one who, without any convincingly articulated reason, has become a complicated presence. Libra hears this and for a second believes it, because Libra is always willing to question itself, always open to considering that maybe it's the problem. But there's one thing this narrative can't erase: the fact that the reaction arose precisely when you stopped giving in, not when you started making mistakes. This realization that her reaction stemmed from your refusal to continue diminishing yourself, not from a real failing, is one of the most transformative experiences Libra can have. And it is precisely this realization that the divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose focuses on: how Libra learns to recognize that someone's discomfort in your presence can be a map of what that person is hiding, not an accusation about who you are. When this interpretation changes, the way you exist within your own relationships changes with it. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. There is a moment, and anyone who has been through it knows exactly what I mean when I say that. A specific moment when understanding arrives, not as an organized idea, but as a feeling, not in the head, where words arrange everything neatly and linearly, in the body, in the breath, in that exact space between the chest and the throat, where things that don't yet have names wait to take shape. It's the moment when you realize you're not tired of a person. You're tired of contorting yourself to exist around them, tired of calculating how much you can say, of measuring your tone of voice, of smiling when what you feel isn't a smile, of wasting energy managing the emotional state of someone who never bothered to manage the impact they had on you. It's the moment when you look at the whole situation, at all the adjustments you made, at all the slightly smaller versions of yourself you tried to be, and suddenly understand that the harmony you were trying to build wasn't harmony. It was purchased silence, purchased with pieces of yourself that you paid for without realizing you were making a transaction. And the strange thing is that this moment is rarely dramatic. It's not a fight. It's not a scandalous revelation with a set time. It's almost silent. It's like when you look at something that has hurt you for a long time and realize that the urgency to fix it is no longer there. That something inside you has simply stopped running towards something that never arrived. Libra was constructed culturally, emotionally, astrologically to maintain balance, to be the point of mediation, the space where conflict dissolves, the place where things find a middle ground that everyone can accept. For a long time, this functioned as an entire identity, as a purpose. I am the one who harmonizes. I am the one who listens without judging. I am the one who does not abandon in the midst of chaos. But there is a balance that Libra rarely learns to cultivate before having to learn it the hard way. The balance that begins from within. Balance doesn't depend on what the other person is doing, feeling, or needing at that moment. The balance that says, simply and without drama, I recognize myself, regardless of how I am treated. When Libra finds that point, and it always does, because that's what it was fundamentally made for more than anything else, something changes in the entire field. Conversations shift in tone without you needing to change the subject. Relationships that were draining begin to reveal themselves for what they always were, without the veil of hope that maybe this time it would be different. And most interestingly, those who couldn't stand your presence can no longer use that proximity as a tool. Because you are no longer available to be diminished. The warning in the title wasn't about fear, it was about recognition. This person who can't stand being near you is telling you something that would take years to learn otherwise. Without all this wear and tear, without all this silent erosion that takes pieces of you away, without asking permission. They are showing you unintentionally and unconsciously exactly where you have enough light to bother those who have chosen to live in the shadows and call it comfort. Libra carries within itself a scale, not the scale of indecision. That's the shallow version that those who don't understand Libra usually talk about. But the scale of perception, that silent and inevitable ability to sense when something is out of place, even when the place seems perfect on the outside, even when everyone around seems not to notice anything. And those who try to erase this perception rarely do so out of pure, calculated malice. They do it because they are afraid, because the clarity you possess, even when you don't consciously use it, represents a real risk for those who depend on things remaining unspoken. The risk that what was hidden will come to light, the risk that the balance they were feigning will reveal itself as a real imbalance, painstakingly built upon a foundation that cannot withstand light. You weren't the problem. You were never the problem. The care the title calls for isn't the care of someone who is afraid. It's the care of someone who pays attention. The care of someone who learns to read the signs before getting lost in them forever. The care of someone who understands that not all tension needs to be resolved, and that some tensions are, in fact, a compass. A compass that doesn't point to where you want to go. It points to where you shouldn't continue walking. Libra, you were made for true balance. Not for the balance of someone who fades into the background so that others feel comfortable in their own shadow. For the balance of someone who knows themselves so deeply that they no longer need to prove anything to anyone, including those who were never willing to see who you really are. What exists when you stop running is exactly this, you, whole. And this wholeness, for those who truly deserve to be close to you, has never been unbearable. It has always been everything. You thought the problem was you. You thought that if you adjusted a little more, explained yourself a little better, let it show a little less, that the tension with this person would simply pass with time. That with enough patience, they would understand. It didn't go through. He didn't understand. And there's a reason for that no one has clearly told you. It's not about what you did. It's not about what you failed to do. It's about who you are, and about the fact that there's a specific type of person who can't stand being around someone who truly sees them, unfiltered, without permission. Libra has this ability to perceive what hasn't been said, to feel what's hidden behind the facade, to exist with a clarity that doesn't need confrontation to be felt. And for a specific type of person, a type that will appear in this video with a pattern, with logic, with the exact steps of how it establishes itself, this clarity is unbearable. What you'll see here isn't a generic list of difficult people. It's a map of the exact pattern that person uses, of the way they act when they realize they can't control you, of the moment the narrative shifts and suddenly you become complicated, the difficult one, the one who changed, when all you did was stop diminishing yourself to fit in. And there's something at the end of this map that will change how you read every relationship in your life from now on. Because when you understand what this person's discomfort really says, not about you, but about them, the care the title calls for ceases to be fear, and it becomes something much more powerful than that. Stay. This is for you.